Yeah. So obviously, you guys made very good points about the health stuff, and it sounds like it's a very big part of both of your lives. So obviously, I would encourage every person to reach out to any of them if you have any
Yes, please.
questions,
Definitely. We're
if you
just
need
two ordinary
advice.
people like anybody else,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
let's help each other out. We would love.
yeah,
He helped me out. I sometimes try to help him out, but we'd love to
yeah,
help other people out that
yeah.
are in similar situations and maybe are just confused on where their life's heading. Maybe we can add just that little piece of advice.
Yeah, awesome. So, and at the end of the day, I know we talked that this is not your identity, but your tag for the external world is that you're soccer players, right? Professional soccer players, and that's the dream that a lot of people want to accomplish, and I'm sure most of your audience is going to be looking forward to that. So, let's dive a little deeper into that. Talk to me about the level at Atlanta United 2, how your experience was with the first team, because I know both of you had at least a couple of weeks of preseason with the first team, and you get to meet players that have won a World Cup, like Thiago Almada, or players that have played in Europe, have won MLS Cups, etc., etc. So compare that to college soccer, even if you want how you can compare it to the academy in Spain, Danny, to like the Revs too that you made your debut with in the senior year of high school and all that stuff, and we can go from there. So the floor is open.
Yeah, I will say, of course, there is for example, comparing college soccer with, I'm gonna say MLS, not MLS Next Pro, with the first team. Of course, there is a difference. There is not a lot of difference in terms of like very difference in quality, but it's just that final decision, just that final action in the box. That final touch. Those little things that they make everything clean. So and I think that's the biggest difference for me. Of course, when I was in college, I was thinking, man, I just want to go train with a professional team to see my level and to see if I can make it.
Yeah, that's exactly
And I also want to encourage people that it's not that far away. The level is not that far away. I will say that, for example, a lot of people that are my teammates at Oregon State, if they come to train with us in MLS, maybe they will be playing. So it's just a very difficult transition. Very difficult.
I think just to jump in, the hardest part is getting your foot in the door.
Yeah.
Just being able to just get that trial,
Getting that trial, getting those
part. But
things.
once you make it, or once you finally get that contract,
Yeah.
I mean, you can attest it a little bit once you get that. Like it's so much easier. But that trial part, just being able to sign that first contract is always so hard.
And that doesn't mean that they are not good, because they are in MLS. They're amazing, especially like Atlanta. It has great players. It has Gigi. Georgia Komako, that he scores every single time he touches the ball. He scores a goal. Thiago too. He won a World Cup. Quality for fun. He can do whatever he wants. It's amazing. Player like that. And the main difference is that this is our job now. This is not only for fun anymore. At the same, it's for fun, of course, but it's our job now. We're making money, and like
You're employed. You're working for someone. Someone's paying you a salary. Like
Yeah.
you have to obey orders.
Yeah,
it's
that's
different
it.
than
Yeah.
just playing on the Sunday league.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say that's the main difference. And at the same time, everyone in the first team is good. You don't have those players that maybe in college it's like, okay, 5, 6 are good and the other ones are alright. No, here everyone here is very good. So that's also great, because I think that makes you better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, to add to that, just going from college to MLS Next Pro, I don't think was a crazy jump. Especially, I mean, we were the top 4 teams in the country. We were at the top of college soccer, and you kind of like he said, there's plenty of players on my team that could jump into our MLS Next Pro session.
I was talking MLS.
Yeah, I mean,
MLS Pro.
MLS Next Pro and MLS too, and I think do just fine in the session. Not hold anybody back. So I think the level, like, people don't realize that you're right there. Like I said before, the hardest part is just getting your foot in the door, and that was always my biggest concern. Was I know I'd be fine once I get there, but can I get my foot in the door? Am I going to be able to just show myself? And
I would say MLS Next Pro is almost like it feels like college.
It is. Sometimes even think that a lot of players too are also just academy guys.
Yeah,
academy guys who are going to college.
Yeah.
So sometimes some players are even a little less experienced, but they're still quality players. So the level is definitely great. And we're blessed to be able to get time to go up to the first team. We did the first 3 weeks with the first team, and sometimes we get call ups here and there during the week to go and train with them, and that's like our little treat. It's like awesome. Like, we love it. We look forward to when you get that text, you're training with the first team. It's awesome. You love it. But the level, like you said, it's all down that consistency. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned is, you can't have, especially when you're with the first team. With the second team, it's a little different because you're maybe more, but it's still the professional level. But when you're with that first team, you can't have a bad day. You know what I mean? It's got to be good day, good day, good day. We've been on the days you wake up in the morning and you don't really want to go to training because your body hurts or you're sore or you're tired, or maybe you had a bad day the past day. You wake up and you're like, oh, I don't really like it. You can't have that.
Especially us that we have to make our way through.
Yeah, we don't have a name at all. We don't have any sort of name for ourselves yet. So when we get that chance to go, we have to be the guys that are setting the tone, trying to make the difference. And like you said, we're playing with big name guys who are really, really class, and you don't want to upset them either. You don't want to hold their level back, and that's what we do. We just have to try to bring the best and be consistent, because that's really what they are. Every day they come to training, they're just class day after day. They go to the games, they're class.
But at the same time, enjoy it and
yeah, for sure.
Have that confidence, because if you're very nervous or if you lose that confidence or you think they are much better than you, I think that also is gonna be bad for your health, for your mentality. It's like, okay,
definitely,
this is not I cannot make it.
Yeah,
like
fear kills, and I've learned that the same thing. Like you just can't be nervous. Whatever. Like same thing. You make a mistake, Everybody does. Even the top world class guys that people don't think. I bet you if you train with Messi, I'm sure he turns the ball over in training too. Everybody turns the ball over. It happens, and people make mistakes, but people don't realize that. They're like, "Oh, these top guys." Sometimes we set goals for ourselves before a game, and I ask him, I'm like, "What's your goal for the game?" And he's like, "Oh, not turn the ball over." And that's a good goal to have, but then that's also that's unrealistic. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to turn the ball over, but it's a good goal to have. But now when you set
it's more about the reaction when
you set that goal, and then knowing you're probably not going to hit it. Can you have that positive reaction when you don't hit every goal you want? So these top guys, they make mistakes too, and people probably don't realize that they do. And like for us guys, we go in there and we don't not that we don't respect them, but during training we don't treat them like we're playing against a World Cup winner. You know what I mean? We have to try to do our best too. We just play like we're playing any other player like we would. And we try just as hard. And we treat them just as like anybody else. We do our best to keep the session high, and we do a good job of that. It's not like we feel like we're behind at all. So I think the level, people don't realize that they're right there. It's not as far as they think.
It's not that far. And I think it's a lot about the framing of the situation as well. You can get the call for training with the first team, and you can be like you were saying, super nervous and being like, oh my god, like these guys are so much better than me. I'm gonna mess up every pass I receive, and of course you're going to if you think that way. But also you can frame it. There's always two sides of the coin, right? You can frame it in the way of, wow, what an opportunity. This is extremely exciting.
Yeah.
Also, let me enjoy this, like we were talking about earlier, find joy in this, but also staying present in the moment, because I don't know how many more trainings I'm going to have with the first team.
Yeah, exactly.
I could get injured tomorrow.
That's also where comes where your identity is at. Your identity is only in soccer. That day is going to be, man, you're going to be so nervous. You're going to be like, okay, this is my chance. This is my opportunity to make it with the first team. This is like, I have to make everything right. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on yourself. So, of course, if your identity is not only in soccer, it's like, okay, I'm going to enjoy this opportunity. That doesn't mean you're not going to put the effort and you are not going to try, but you see things from a different perspective that I think is very helpful.
I've never ever think I've ever played a good game knowing that I'm like being nervous beforehand, or like just being anxious, or like I don't think I've ever had a good training or good. Sometimes I don't even want the ball when it's like that. Like if you brought me to a first team session when I was 19, 18 years old, even 20, even a year ago, 2 years ago, I probably would have walked into training like kind of like with a little shake, and that like anytime somebody passed me the ball, I think every first touch would have bounced up in the air. Where if you just put me on my field, that local field at home, you ping the ball at me 100 miles an hour, I'll take it down. You know what I mean? It's all about setting and pressure, and you learn to cope with pressure with maturity. And I think just going up there, you just have to realize that it's just another day at the office. You know what I mean? Like you've done this a million times. You've made a million passes at your local field. You've hit 100 million shots.
Yeah.
You've played two touch with your friends. You've juggled the ball probably a billion times. It's just another day. And if something bad happens, it's okay. You're gonna move on to the next play.
Yeah, this might sound a little bit stereotypical, but it seems like the biggest difference is the mindset of the players.
Yeah. The game is what? I'd say it's 90% mental for me personally. I think soccer is 90% mental. Yeah.
Once you have the quality.
Yes, exactly.
I think
you need to work. Obviously, you need to get to a certain point where you have that skill and maturity in the game. But after that, 90% mental. You've done it. Like I said, you've done those same things a billion times. Touches, running, passing, making movements, all those little things you've done a million times.
Like when we go play golf, like the first ball, you hit it you're nervous, you hit it bad, and then you hit the second one for practice, and then it's the best ball ever.
Or the other way around. Sometimes what I do, I hit my first shot the best I ever hit it, and I step up to the second tee box, and I'm like, I just hit that one good. I better do the same thing, and then it goes right in the water. So.
Yeah, like we were saying, always two sides of the coin. It can be heads or tails. You can focus on whichever you want. And then now you guys are finding yourselves playing in the MLS Next Pro pretty consistently. I know you're both starting most games. Javi, you have a couple goals already. Then you have a couple assists.
Should have a couple assists. Not yet.
Not yet, but I know in preseason you get a couple as well. So, how are you guys finding that comfort in the new team? I know there's a lot of rotation. How is it dealing with also players coming down from the first team and having to play with those and adapt your game to those players as well? I know this is probably very challenging because sometimes you might be benched because someone comes down from the first team and you just have no saying, even though you are the star of the team, or you have to pass them the ball in a different way that you would pass your other teammate, or you have to defend for them because we know how ego works sometimes. And you're like, I'm with the second team, I'm not going to defend.
Yeah, just to explain to the people how MLS Next Pro works is just the second team. It's just a second team of the first team, of course, and the first team that they don't play or they don't have minutes, they just go with the second team and they kind of have to play.
They have to. It's not kind of. They're on first team contracts. They're technically higher up on the food chain than we are. They're the ones that are going to play.
Yeah, so
that's it is what it is.
It is what it is, and we know where are we, and we just take it. And in my case, I don't have that situation because they never
bring down any
players play in my position. But to Danny happened, I think, last week.
Yeah.
And
I mean, at least.
But one day maybe that's us. Maybe next year we sign first team contract, and then it's like that. And I just want to learn from that and just being able to go down with the best attitude possible. And trying to be the best.
I mean, I tell you this every time. Like you always ask me, when I'm not starting, you say, "Oh, you okay?" I'm like, yeah, it is what it is. You control what you can control, and I think that's a mentality I've learned from friends in college. Just staying positive when I've been doing well in training. I'm very happy with where I'm at right now, especially since I've made a position switch from left back went to left back from playing the 9 and a winger. First couple weeks we're just a learning experiment, but I'm super comfortable where I am now. And guys come down, first team guys, and it is what it is. They have to play, and I'm not uncomfortable. I'm not worried. I don't when I get on the field, I'm not thinking, well, now I have to play well. 'Cause I know I'm not going to play well if that's something. I just go out there and do what I know how to do. And it's kind of second nature at this point. We've done so much that you kind of let the game control you.
For example, what happened to you last week? You were going to play, and the day before, it's like, okay, you're not gonna play.
Yeah.
And then we always talk about you have two options. The first option is just be frustrated, be mad with the world, try to focus on the things you cannot control, and be upset and pissed. That maybe it's understanding, but the second option is what you did. That you're an example is just say, okay, I cannot control that. I'm just gonna try to be the best version of myself when I go to the field. Be ready to go to the field, and help the team and support my teammates and keep smiling. And that's awesome because then you came to the field in the second half. You made a difference. We could have tied the game because of you too, because your game and your passes. And then next week the first team calls you up and you're training with the first team. I mean, we were training with the first team together, but literally. You from not playing with the second team, you're called up to play with the first team. Thanks to your attitude, to be able to play good, to manage that mental stress and health or whatever you want to call it, and then it's like, okay, look this guy, and then you got recognized with the first team too.
Exactly. I appreciate you bringing that up, and also just getting and that feeling of that, like knowing that you're doing something right is a great feeling, and I didn't worry about it. I didn't worry about second team, whether I didn't get the call up that week anyway. I was fine. I was happy with how I played in the next pro game. And I did get that call up, and it was a great feeling. Like, wow, like, okay, they recognize that I did well. And like the people, first teams do recognize you. They are always watching. Somebody's always watching, whether it's one of the first team coaches or somebody who talks to the first team coaches. There's somebody always watching. And and after I trained with them all this past weekend,
we almost made it.
Yeah, we were close. I mean, maybe we didn't get to travel, but we. If we did, it would be great. And if we didn't, you know what? Like we weren't gonna cry about it and be like, oh, like he shouldn't travel. I should have traveled. No, it's whatever. We're happy for whoever traveled, and maybe next time is our turn. Maybe it'll be our turn soon. But yeah, I mean, after the week of training, like the coach just the first team coaches told me they were super impressed with me. So it was great to hear that, and just super happy to hear that they're recognizing and realizing, the attitude that you have, because I'm sure they've recognized their players on the field that when they're not starting, they have that bad attitude.
Mhm.
And that's the last thing you want a coach to label you as a terrible attitude and a bad teammate. That's the worst thing you can get recognized as. So yeah, just super grateful.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if you put the team first, then the team will end up putting you first, right?
Mhm.
And if your attitude is to like help the team in any way you can, like you did last week, then the positive repercussions for that attitude will come sooner or later. For you, they came pretty soon,
Yeah,
and it meant a
yeah,
week
they
of
don't
training with
always
the
come
first
soon.
team. But sometimes they take, like you said, weeks, months, sometimes years.
Yeah.
You never know. Um, but if you follow that inner voice and you have something inside you that's telling you this is the right thing to do, you should not get pissed at this. This is out of your control. And training that inner voice, I feel like it's gonna always have very good repercussions in the long
Yeah,
run.
and I think another point too, just to bring like you also control what you can control, but you also sometimes if something happens, don't just say control what you can control, because maybe sometimes it is on you.
Yeah.
And it's
Don't use that to
I don't
excuse
want
yourself.
exactly. I don't want people
Mhm.
to use that as an excuse. So that's what I'm kind of getting at. Is like sometimes take a step back to reflect and be like, in my case, I wasn't starting because they brought first team guys, but it wasn't just there's a first team guy here. Is that the only reason I'm not starting? I took a step back, and in the end, I came up with the decision that I think it is just because there's a first team guy, but you still should take that step back and maybe be like, okay, am I not doing well? Am I not working hard enough? Or I don't know, just something along those lines. And some people might use that as an excuse, and maybe in the past we've used that as an excuse before for ourselves. And I'm sure we have. Definitely.
Yeah.
I've definitely used that as an excuse to make myself feel better. And
Yeah.
people, we love to try to make ourselves feel better, usually by putting other people down.
Yeah, because you said you don't use that as an excuse, or you don't use that just to blame other people. Oh, I'm just not playing because the coach is very bad.
Exactly.
Things like that. I think that's a very negative attitude too. Just try to find the balance.
Exactly. So control what you can control, but also within that, take a step back, look at yourself, and reflect. And maybe it's you who needs to control what you can control. So